All right. It is Sunday, July 21st, 2024. It's 15:08 in my locale. We just gave a shot out to do a live stream. However, it looks like everybody else is involved in their own weekend activities, which is great. So we're just going to turn this into a standard video update. All right. So first of all, we'll start with some good stuff. We always start with the good stuff. Okay. Our daily Zen poem. The solitary peak stands alone, high and aloof, its shallow brooks frozen, still overhead, dancing clouds soar and wheel. A flock of birds and jumbled boulders seem to be people in conversation. Its bones are pale white plum blossoms, and its flesh luxuriant green hedges. Softly, distantly, song from another world, a reversal harmony on the warmth of summer. Chi Shu, 17th century to 18th century. Very nice, very pretty. Good news. All right, we'll go again. We have a nice poem. We're going to go to some good news. For those of you who follow this group, and I've mentioned them before, it's a nice couple called Where They Wander. Okay, and Where They Wander, they do a lot of videos, and they spend a zillion hours making the best possible quality to present to you guys. And at some point in time today, Where They Wander is going to drop a video of their Everglades adventure, which has somebody you might know in it. So if you're so inclined, take a peek around. You can see how it works on the boat. You might be impressed. Okay. Now over to the more difficult and challenging things. Okay. About a week and a half ago, I was feeling good. Everything, first of all, we got to the inventory problem. Okay. I didn't resolve it to my happiness, but I was able to resolve it. And the second thing that's the most important is that we've identified the problem so we can begin to combat that. Turns out it's not me, it's not anybody in the store, it's not anything. It is the system itself. And so we know where to aim now. So things have been humming along pretty good. You know, we got a new staff member. You know, everything's going pretty good. We're starting to get in a groove of things. We did have a water main break, so that did shut off like a boil notice. You know, that prevents us, again, like always, making coffee or having hot dogs. Keeps the restaurant open, which is good. Okay, so about a week and a half ago, got ready for work. Everything was good. Super Boaty right here next to me. Everything's great. And I get about halfway to work, and I decided to walk. Okay, and felt like someone was rubbing on my sock, and I was like, we've had that before. I'll just go to work and fix it. So I got to work, and I took my sock off, took my shoe off, adjusted everything, put my shoe back on, all done. Started doing all the fun stuff. Okay, and then the next morning, I got up, my foot was a little swollen. I went, my foot's a little swollen. All right. I said, I can keep an eye on that because I know that could be any number of things, but I'm going to watch that. And then on the third day, it was swollen and I was having problems walking. And I was still going to work and I was still doing things, even though I was having a problem walking, still doing all the stuffs. And then on the fourth day, I went to step down and I couldn't walk. And that's bad. My foot was very red. My leg was very red. There was spidering on my veins, and I went, uh-oh, I know what this is. So a staff member kindly took me over to the hospital, which I dread, and they identified it as the same thing it was before, a staph infection group 2, which is a common thing. Okay, so they pumped me full of antibiotics, and they're testing me with wasn't an MRI. Yeah, well, maybe it was an MRI to see how deep this went in. Very fortunately, not. So they were able to do a procedure to debride, which means remove the affected skin on my leg. It's below my knee to my ankle, not very big. Clean that out, wrap that wound. So they did the standard EKG. No, that's fine. Then they said, okay, well, we're just going to do a standard, chest, whatever. And I went, okay, that's fine. And then they came back and said, not so fine. And I went, what do you mean not so fine? And they said, you might have an embolism. And I went, where the hell did that come from? They said, well, you might, your legs, you have some type of venous thing, which I do have varicose veins, and they said you may have thrown a clot, and it may have gone up your body, and now it's sitting in what's called the saddle, and the saddle is between your heart and your lungs, right here. Okay, this is uncommon. Put your science hat on. Okay, an embolism usually is blood or it's air, and what happens is it travels through your bloodstream, and it can lodge somewhere, it can float around, and these are kind of common. Once they grab them, and everything's a high success rate. Well, a saddle is a little, they're uncommon, okay, and that's because they're usually made up of blood. Okay, in this case, that's what it was made up of, and they sit in such a way as they either move past the, your lungs or towards your heart, right? So they were very concerned, and they said, well, we want to have a procedure, and they want to do where they open up an opening in your groin, and they run like a catheter, a tube, a line straight up, and then they run a line through that line. It's kind of like a pipe, and then a line goes through it to try to extract out whatever is in here. Okay, so here's where it's going to get funky. Okay, so we're going to say, there I am on a table, and they've got this thing up on me, and I can feel that thing moving around here. And my mom had that type of thing. When they put a stent in, she said it was uncomfortable. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's weird. I can't explain the weird. Okay. Here's where we're going to put a pin in it. Okay, we're going to just drop a pin right there. Now, these things are uncommon, okay, and they are very unique in that if they're blood, they can be kind of sticky, kind of thready, kind of spider-looking, kind of crab-looking, and they can just dig in and then prevent your heart from working properly or do anything else. But they're not a common thing. Now, the problem is that they have become more common in the last 3 to 5 years. Would anyone in class like to guess why they have become more common in the last 3 to 5 years? I'll give everybody a couple of minutes, the Jeopardy theme, to figure this out. I'm doing it in my head. I can't sing. All right, time's up. Okay, I think you guys have already figured out the answer. If you haven't, let me give it to you. The uptick in this uncommon form of embolism, okay, that has been showing up in, amazingly enough, very healthy young people, without any symptoms or signs at all. Okay, what has caused an uptick in this uncommon item to, I'll call myself relatively healthy, but very healthy other people? If you know the answer, you're starting to smile. Ready? Yup. So, there has been a lot of reports of this stuff because it's sticky and icky and tricky and can come out of absolutely nowhere. But we do know it comes from somewhere. So, knowing that I compromised my health for someone that I loved, and now this is the result. It's interesting. So now we're going to go back. Let's take the pin out. So there I am on the table, and they go, I got it, I think I got it, I think I got it, I got it, I got it, and they pull it out, and I go, I want to see this thing. And they stuck it to a board. which is fine. I wish I would have had a picture. They didn't let me take a picture. But they stuck it to a board. And 3/4 of a foot across, about yay high, looking like a spider. I mean, all red and sticky and thick, and looking like that thing that jumps out of an alien jumps on your face. All right. Well, you knew there was something else coming. Here it is. Right after they showed me that, I was terrified. I was already scared enough. I was in a second world country hospital. I was terrified. You may not believe me. If you don't, that's okay. If you do believe me, if you do, that's okay. Right after they showed that to me and I got a sense of how big it was almost like the universe turned out the lights for 1 full second. I saw nothing but black, and all I heard sounded like somebody had taken an entire tray of cutlery and threw it on the ground. And then I heard 2 solid thumps. I opened my eyes again. I looked at that thing they were showing me, and the next thing I know is they were really closing me up and taking care of me. At that moment, I realized what I was looking at. I knew where it had come from. I knew it wasn't supposed to be there. I had a feeling of how it got there. Doctors probably have their own running hypothesis. I sure have mine. And I said the most incredible words I've ever said in well over a decade. And those words were, "Kerry, I don't love you anymore." That sound I think I heard was all the armor falling off of me. Those 2 thumps were the handcuffs around me. I was a little shocked to realize that I came very close to dying for someone else who is now, as far as I'm concerned, insane. Insane. I don't know where she is. They kept asking, do you want me to call her? Do you want me to call her? And I kept saying, what is she going to do? She's 1,400 miles away. What's she going to do? Send me flowers? I mean, she's not going to jump on a plane and come take care of me. What is she going to do? So it was a bit of a fight to get out of that hospital, but I did. They're not performing their tasks the way they're supposed to. We're working on that. How do I feel? I feel pretty good. I'm able to move around. I'm able to walk. I'm able to do all of those things easily. No, not walk easily. I'm on a lot of blood thinners, so I got to be careful as I walk. I am, I'm able to go about 300 feet, 350 feet. My leg's still bandaged up from this infection that hopefully they cleaned up with all the antibiotics. And I just have to move slowly, but I have to move because they don't want me to throw a clot of any sort, which I don't want to throw a clot either. So it was probably one of the most scary and one of the most remarkable things that has ever happened. I can only blame myself. I did this to me. Nobody else did. And I did it for reasons of love for another human being. And I finally saw how that got returned. So we're not going to do that again. Ever. We're not going to have anyone in that much control over me. Ever. We're not going to take anything that we have worked for and earned and applied work ethic and skull sweat and anything else, And we're not going to hand it to somebody else who neither can put their head around it or appreciates it. Ever. It was a life-altering trip, as they used to say back in the 60s and 70s. And it was pretty profound. And it was a little scary. And, you know, it's a little sad. You know, I gotta say, I look around and I go, well, you know, you start to do the justification game. Well, maybe this, well, maybe that. And the answer is there is no maybe. There's no maybe. It's shut off. And that's a real shame, because that one's going to sting a while. On the good news side of this, I did have people who were taking care of Bodhi for a week and a half. That little beast actually let people near him, which I'm shocked they didn't lose fingers and toes. So there are a person or two here that can actually get near him, which is a good socialization thing. The other end of this is that everyone here, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, I don't expect anyone to help me. Okay, expectations are appointments with disappointments. I'm a hermit, for God's sake. Everyone has been very helpful. They have been very open. Hey, Carl, we want you to get better faster. What can we do to help you? You know, this type of stuff is, it's, you know, it provides a lot of gratitude. Okay, very unexpected. I'm getting more support from the people near me than I am from the entire medical community that discharged me. Go figure. And it was a rough getting out of there, because it was a lot of, well, if they sign it, then we'll sign it, but we're not going to sign it until they sign it. And standard bureaucratic nonsense, because it's not about patients anymore. It's about money, and it is second world services in a second world hospital. It's just the way it is. And in the middle of all that, I meant to tell you, I went from one hospital to another. And that's because they had the equipment to take out the spider. Okay, and the other one didn't. So, you know, a lot of things have transpired in the last week and a half around, you know, through the little Plato's cave opening I've seen. Bodhi's sound asleep, by the way. He's right here. I might be able to get the camera to him. I don't know. But definitely, you know, let's see how it goes. To be determined. And a lot of lessons learned. I've been spending a lot of time on the phone trying to get people to do their jobs, and it's not going to happen. You still have to take the effort, but it's still not going to happen. And I know it's not going to happen. You know? So definitely a very, you know, a little bit of a pain time with that leg. A very frightening time, because I could have lost my life. And all of it was, unfortunately, by my own hands, because I thought with my heart, not with my head. So that's the lesson to you guys right there. Don't think with your hearts. It's bad. Might kill you. So we got that out of the way. Also looking around in the universe today, the things I need to say are the following. If you don't take care of you, nobody else will. So thank you, Mom. If they're not like-minded, if they don't share your values, if they don't have anything to offer, you need to, instead of kick them off, you need to simply shut the door and lock it right behind you. We're there now. I was there for a week and a half. I don't know where you are in that state. However, I can tell you it's coming if it's not already standing there. So you need to take care of you. Okay? If you need to go anywhere, don't go alone. Keep your head out of your phone. Keep a look around you. Keep your trips short and sweet. Keep them necessities, not luxuries. And I don't care if you're male or you're female or you're an iguana. Don't. This is not the place. And as I kept saying for months, it's just going to keep going up and getting worse. We haven't seen worse yet. It's going up, but we haven't seen worse. This was a very scary time, and it was not easy to have to deal with, and maybe I'm still dealing with it a little bit on my own. The only thing I can say to you is that I don't ever want to see this happen to anybody else, especially a young, healthy person. I'm not big on people, but this thing frightened me. It really frightened me. So, I mean, my health is pretty good. I never really went out of, I didn't feel good. I feel pretty good. My blood pressure was good. My heart rate was good. None of those things got changed or happened. And again, I'm glossing over a whole lot of what happened through this process. That was a bit of their Dr. Three Stooges and all of that. It was very scary. It was not very pleasant to experience. We really don't want to try that game again. You need to watch your health. You know, you need to keep an eye on that. You know, natural over pharmaceutical always. Good food over fast food always. You know, watch what you're eating. Read the ingredients. Look for those keywords we've been talking about. Know when to put it back on the shelf. Or know when to learn how to make it yourself. You cannot imagine what it was like trying to just sit there and the person you were in love with, you're just saying, if they were just here, I would feel 1,000 times better. And I'm afraid she's not here anymore. So that's going to be a little bit of, you know, between the sudden burst of what came out of me, there's going to be a mourning, and then there's going to be a loss, and then we're going to pick up ourselves and we're going to go on. And that's okay. You know, it's a little bit of a painful growth, for lack of better terms. Hey man, would you like to show yourself to some people? Mr. Social? Come here, Mr. Social. There he is. I know. Do you go back to your nap now? Yeah? I know, I love you. Come on back to fishing. Come on. Can't say the words man's best friend. Gotta say, man's best friend. Definitely a healing component. Definitely a healing component. So we're running a little long on this. I don't think I need to tell you guys anymore to scare you. I don't think I need to surprise you anymore. I do think you should watch that video because as soon as Where They Wander drops it, I think you should go over and take a look. Not for me, but because they were on the tour that you've never seen. They were on the bay. You might find it enjoyable. I hope you do. Take care of those that are you and yours. Remember to remove those that aren't. Keep your head up. Keep it on a swivel. Take care of those you love. You never know when, gosh, something could happen to them. Something could happen to you. Or the person you care about can be removed in one split second. Because the cost was too high. Please try to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to get this started and we're going to see what happens next, all right? Bye.